Hello, and how are you all doing? It's Friday night. How's your week been? What have you been up to? If you're coming in live and you're dropping in live, you are so welcome here. You're absolutely where you should be on a Friday night. My name's Ashley, and I'm going to be hosting this evening's amazing chat. I'm really, really looking forward to talking to these wonderful spiritual ambassadors that are kind of working busily for Spirit at the moment. This is the Spiritual Circle. The whole purpose of this was to bring spiritually minded people together at the start of lockdown. And here we are. We are now in November and still going strong, bringing some amazing people doing incredible work together into the comfort of your own home, so that we can't be together physically in circle, but we're bringing these lovely spiritually minded people to you to learn from them, have lively discussions and kind of spread the light and keep pushing it out. So if you have any questions, and there will be some questions coming up from this evening, please do drop them into the chat. Get involved in the conversation. This is your evening to be part of. So who have we got coming in? Please do put your name and where you're from. It's always astounding to me to see everybody here joining us. Hello to lovely Charlotte. Hello to Natalie. How are you doing, Natalie? Hello to Jackie and Rachel. Some of your posse are coming over. They are over here. Hello to lovely Phil and the Wimbledon Massive. Hope that you're all doing well. Hello to lovely Linda Marie. Hello to Kevin, to Penny. Hi, Penny. How are you doing? Lovely Leslie, beautiful Jennifer, Susan, Valerie. Oh my goodness, so many people on tonight. Amazing. If you're watching on a replay, hello to you too. So glad that you found us. But you can watch all of our programs. They're all recorded and they're all safe for you on Facebook. You can go back at any point and listen to some of the amazing teachers and speakers that we've had on so far. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce my two lovely guests for you this evening. I have, and we've just noticed that actually this is like two peas in a pod, so watch out everybody, because it's Revenge of the Redheads this evening. Hello to lovely Karen. How are you doing, Karen?
I'm doing really well, thank you, Ashley. It's lovely to be here and lovely to see so many people on here. It's wonderful. Yes, really looking forward to chatting with everybody tonight.
Amazing, thank you. And a gentleman who probably doesn't need very much introduction if you've been hanging around in Facebook and the Zoom world over the summer. But hello to lovely Neil. How are you doing, Neil?
I'm all right, thank you, Ashley. And thank you for inviting me and Karen on. I've been looking forward to it. So, yes. So here we are at long last.
Here we are. I'm really looking forward to this evening too. So many questions. So please do put your questions in. You've got two really experienced mediums here that have been working online and delivering, keeping the message going, keeping the lights on for Spirit, even though the churches and centres are closed, working online in Zoom and Facebook Lives and doing church services and DEMs. So please do put your questions in, especially if this is something that you're interested in pursuing or doing for yourself. So go and grab yourself a cup of tea, go and grab yourself something stronger if that's your thing on a Friday evening. Make yourself comfortable, and we'll be back in about 30 seconds. So hello, welcome back everybody. It's amazing to see so many people checking in, which is really lovely. Please do continue to say hi to all of your friends that you're seeing in the chat, and keep the conversation going and get involved. It'd be lovely to hear your thoughts. So I start this evening, as I start every Friday. It's always fascinating to me to get to know a little bit more about you both, because we've seen your work. I've been privileged enough to be part of one of your circles, your online Zoom rooms. But I wonder if I could start with you, Karen, and just for the people that don't know you and aren't aware of you and what you're about and how you started, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, please?
Well, I have to go back a long way, Ashley, because I started many years ago at West Wickham Spiritualist Church, which is on the Kent-London borders near Bromley. And I went there probably in about 1992. So we're talking sort of 30 years ago. And I was only a young slip of a thing. And I was taken there by my friend, Deb, and her mum, Eve. And I didn't even know anything about it, but I soon got involved with the church. And Eve invited me to join a circle, and I joined the circle, and I just had my eyes opened, my world sort of, I was inspired by everything about the spirit world and about circle. And then I moved on to another circle in the church, and the lady there was very involved with the SNU and the Arthur Findlay College. Her name was Enid Meager, and bless her heart, she's now in the spirit world now. But she was a big influence in my development. And then she took me to the Arthur Findlay College for a weekend. And once I'd been there, I just wanted to go back. So I went to the Arthur Findlay College, and that's where I met the wonderful Janet Parker, also Paul Jacobs and Simon James. And those three have been my tutors throughout my development, especially Janet Parker. She's become a friend now as well. And I just started developing. And then in 2005, I started to go out onto the platform with my friend, who's a wonderful medium called Eve Ella. And we used to work together at all the churches around the southeast. And then I've moved into East Sussex, and I've started to serve churches all around East Sussex. And I started teaching at West Wickham, and I run circles, and that's transpired onto Zoom now. And I do run seminars and workshops, and it's great. I'm doing the job that I love.
Amazing, thank you. And we're definitely going to talk about that. We've already got questions coming in about that transition from physically working and demonstrating to embracing this new world that we're in of the online space. And we've definitely got lots of people interested in that, because it's it's the new frontier, isn't it, for mediumship and how we deal with that. So we're going to come back and pick your brains on that and listen to your wisdom on that one.
Okay.
So lovely, Neil. I'm going to ask the same question to you. How did it all kind of start, and what are you up to now?
Okay, I was about 19 when it happened for me. I lost someone close in the family, like quite often. That's how a lot of people come through spiritualism. And this person was really dear to me. It was my grandmother. And she then, when she passed, she took my mum to a church, really, when she passed, really, the spiritualist church. And I started going to the church with my mum. So I started off at Aylesbury in Buckinghamshire at the church there. And my teacher was Ian Miller, lovely man, and Billy Elton as well. A lot of people would know Billy Elton because he was part of the SNU minister for about 50 odd years. And then it was through Billy Elton I actually met the lovely Glenn Edwards. And it was through Glenn Edwards I ended up going to Stansted. So I went on my first week at Stansted on a course. And then the lovely Glenn got me a job there, and I ended up working behind the bar and in the dining room. So I was quite lucky, really, because I could just walk into any of the lessons I wanted to go into. So my development took me in a different way to Karen's, really, where Karen paid for all of hers and mine was all free. so I owe a lot of thanks to a lot of people, really, because mine was like a lot of people that started me off, really. And then through that, Paul Jacobs came into my life, Glenn Edwards, Janet Parker, all the tutors at Stansted. And then through that, I started doing my mediumship in spiritualist churches. And, and then the lockdown came, and for a minute, I thought I would never be on the internet, but there you go. Here I am.
Yep.
Yeah. Wow. Amazing. So you run kind of circles and groups online as well, Neil, kind of using Zoom technology. And I've been lucky enough to be part of one of your amazing groups that you run. So much banter within your Facebook groups, and a really lovely, friendly kind of family online that you've got.
Yes. And most of them are in tonight.
They are
students. Yeah,
they're all there.
Yeah, because they've got a circle later. Actually, funny enough.
Oh, lovely.
Have they?
Yeah.
So don't get comfortable, everyone. That's going to be having to do some dems and practice messages later, because you've got to work later. Okay. So I suppose the most important thing, and so many people are asking, because this is something that people are really interested in. So if someone's looking for an online circle, what kind of things should they be looking for to find a really good online circle that they blend with? Have you got any kind of thoughts on the kind of thing that they should be doing? If I start with Karen, if that's... Oh, sorry, okay. Neil.
Okay, start with Karen. Ladies first. Ladies
first.
Well,
my circle was already existed so we just transferred onto Zoom. But I think when people see you working in Zoom rooms, and maybe they might feel drawn to that particular person, and if you say that you do teaching, I think you've got to have a good connection with your tutor. Ask around, put a message out there to find out. What I do, if people want to know, then I like to have a conversation with them or a little Zoom chat so that I can get to know them and I can find out what they've done already and where they're at. And I think that's important that you do that so that you can find out where that person's coming from. And I think people are drawn to mediums and teachers because they see them work, or because of reputation as well, or sometimes word of mouth. But if you're looking for an online circle, then go and see some mediums that run circles and see how they work and see if you can blend with them as well.
Great advice. And the same, I suppose, with a physical circle. Go and try it, with love, with an open heart, open mind. Go and try it, and then if it's not right for you, then it's got to be a match for both of the participants, the teacher, and the student, hasn't it, as well? Fantastic. Thank you so much.
Definitely.
Amazing. So Neil, what's your kind of thoughts on that? And Sylvia's made a lovely point. It's divine intervention. Yeah, I like that, Sylvia.
Yeah. I totally agree with what Karen's saying there, because I do think that the student has to feel comfortable with the tutor, and I also feel that the other students have to feel comfortable with each other as well. Because if you have one person that actually comes into a group and they don't all gel with each other, that doesn't work. The blending of the spirit does not work. And I always say that sometimes, that person may get removed on because they don't resonate to the group. So I would say what Karen is saying is so true. It is about resonating and feeling comfortable with each other, and finding the right teacher as well.
Definitely.
Absolutely. Thank you for that amazing question. Keep your questions coming, guys. This is your opportunity to have two people who are working now in this online arena and have kind of made that transition and bringing people through from brand new beginners, people who are really interested in, they've kind of felt that the stirring, that there's something happening, that they want to start developing their spiritual gifts, right through to some of your amazing students who I know are on here tonight who are kind of starting to work with you and working independently. So for somebody who's really new at this and just kind of making their first tentative steps to working mediumistically, they're experiencing something that we're not having to, because they're learning in this environment. They're starting. What kind of tips would you get for people who are maybe have been sat in circle for a little while and they're looking to transition into Zoom? What kind of things are different from your experience of working?
It's a different blending, and also when you're working together, we put people in breakout rooms, which is great on Zoom because they can go into a breakout room and work. It's slightly different with the things we use, the tools we use, sometimes like cards or crystals or words or even psychometry. With basic students, I work with psychometry. So what we've been doing, both Neil and I, in our workshops, is we've been sort of like putting photographs up, and the information that people have been getting from the photographs has been quite amazing, really. So we've had to adapt in this new world, in this Zoom world, as I call it. I don't know what you think, Neil.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I also feel like you were going on about the breakout rooms as well. I think it's really important as tutors, when we are putting people in breakout rooms, that we're supporting them as well, because you don't want to put someone that's new into a breakout room that's never done this before. And they're like, what am I doing? I don't know, and it's about support. It's about knowing your students as well. I think that's really important. It's having that blending with your students.
Yes,
as well.
Yeah, I mean, when I first started on Zoom, I didn't have a proper laptop, so I was working on an iPad, so I couldn't use the breakout rooms. So I was finding out how to teach on Zoom in a different way, and luckily enough, I knew my students, so I said, look, this is an experiment, guys. We're just going to go with it and see how we get on. And they were great. They really went along with it and embraced it. But then I got my new laptop and sort of investigated with the breakout rooms. And yeah, as Neil said, it's good if you know your students and they know what they're doing. But sometimes we work with breakout rooms, which is great. And sometimes we don't. We just do big group exercises.
Amazing. Thank you so much for that. I think what you said is absolutely key. It's about knowing your students, and whereas when you're in a kind of community hall or a room that you've hired to hold a physical circle, you can kind of stand there and feel the energy, can't you? And you can feel, you can see people working in pairs and see if something not quite right, or someone's hogging all of the airtime and someone's not getting a chance to give off. So you've got to be work in a different way as a tutor to be able to go in and out of Zoom rooms, be able to check that everyone's okay. That's really fantastic. Thank you so much for that. A great answer to that question. So we've had some brilliant questions coming in. We're going to go to them. So much love for you, of two amazing teachers. So you've got lots of students, current and past, who have worked with you, coming online to support you both, which is really lovely. And you're all so welcome here. So Natalie's asked a really good question. Gosh, the $64,000 question, Natalie. How do you know when you're ready to serve on your own? What are your thoughts on that, guys?
Do you want to take that one, Neil, or do you want me to?
I think that's a bit of an awkward question, actually, to a degree, because at the moment, I think, when you're ready to serve, yes, it's about going out with someone that's an experienced medium, I think, a couple of times maybe, and you being their like student sort of thing, they're fledgling in. But it's really difficult question, because Natalie's asking from an angle here where they've come from a different angle here. They haven't come from the church background. They've only come from the Zoom background. Okay. So I think working in Zoom platform to a church platform is totally different. Totally different, So I think, as the question that I'm sort of going to answer for Natalie, coming from the background of a student in Zoom, she's had one aspect of it at the moment, but not the church aspect yet. So I think at the moment it is about learning the whole lot, the church and the Zoom, all of it. That's what I would answer anyway.
Years ago, people that sat in circle were normally told by their circle leader, when you're ready, you're now ready, and they would take you out. And that's what I do, or have been doing. But now it's slightly different, because some students don't sit in circle, and they just do courses or mentorship schemes or things like that. And then they have a sort of, maybe they get a feeling within them that they want to go out on their own. But I always say it's much better if you go out with somebody that knows what they're doing, either in a Zoom room or on a church platform. Somebody to hold your hand, somebody to pick up the slack if you're getting yourself nervous and things like that. I wouldn't say for anybody just to jump out there on their own. I would say go out with an experienced medium, so that they can hold your hand and give you sort of like, just be there for you and help you if you need it.
Yeah. Can I just come in there as well? Because I think this is also important as well. When we are working as a medium, like whether you're learning and stuff like that, I think it is about not jump the gun too quickly. Be patient, because I was always told in my development, I'm sure Karen was, you say to the spirit world, I'm here, you know me, because the spirit world know us better than we know ourselves. And I'm here to be of service to you, because quite often you get people that want to be mediums, and quite often that's not the case. They're not going to be a medium. It may be there are some other things in store for them. I know one particular student of mine, fantastic speaker, but she wanted to be a medium, but she's now realised her philosophy is where she's going. So that's another thing I would say as well. I think in a lot of cases, some mediums are running before they can walk. They've got to take their time with their development. And that was something I was always taught by Glenn Edwards. Take your time with your development.
Lovely. Absolutely, because I'm doing block courses at the moment, and I say to everybody at the end of this course, it won't make you a medium. It's going to take lots of years of practice. But Neil's right in what he says. You've got to be patient with your mediumship and don't rush it, and enjoy your mediumship. That's the most important thing to do. Enjoy it.
Because it changes all the time, our mediumship. It never stays in one area. It changes. And that's to do with our different lives in our journey of our soul. You go through different things,
Absolutely.
So,
Gosh, so many people agreeing with what you're saying. And actually the same process in development, just because you're working on Zoom or in a church, it's actually the same connection, and it's just the same spirit team working, and it's the same medium working. You just need to adapt using different technology. So I think that's so important what you said about having the reassurance of someone experienced to go along with you is really important, because then it kind of takes the pressure off and means that you can enjoy yourself and enjoy the experience, rather than it being utterly terrifying and overwhelming.
I know
Amazing.
when I started, Ashley, my minister of my church, Billy Elton, he was the one that took me out on platform, and he gave me the option to go out with him just to do a couple of services, and that was lovely. To think that I was with a minister of the SNU for about 50 odd years, that he gave me that option to go out with him and learn.
Love that. So many positive people agreeing with that, and some amazing questions coming in. So a really interesting question from Sylvia. I'm going to jump into this one because it's so resonant to what we're talking about. Do you think people are developing quicker today than they were? Or do you think, linking back to what you said, that people want to develop more quickly? What do you think is, or is it a bit of both? I'm going to go to whichever one wants to start. Karen, do you want to go first on this one?
It's a difficult one. I think, it is a difficult one. I
don't ask easy questions. Sorry, guys.
No, I know. I realise that. I think I don't know. I think that people do want to develop much quicker than they used to. I actually think, Ashley, that there's a lot more out there than there was years ago, because it only used to be the churches. I mean, when a workshop was on at our church, we all got excited because there wasn't many workshops going on around. But now there's a lot, especially online. And, if all you've got to do is type in mediumship workshops, and lots of people are offering stuff. So I think there's more scope and more things to do and places to go. And also with social media as well, people, sort of can see what's going on. So they want to get it done quicker, because we live in an instant world. And I think you've just got to be patient with yourself, and just go with the flow. Do your own thing. Don't worry about anybody else, what they're doing, because sometimes people develop quickly. I think everybody develops as an individual. I don't think it's a standard thing. I think it's an individual development. And sometimes people have things that happen in their lives that they have to put their development on hold, and then they come back to it later. So I think it's an individual thing, really. I don't know what Neil thinks.
Thank you.
I agree with you, but I also feel as well the world is changing. It's changing, and we know that, with what we've been in at the moment. And I think there are people that are having an awakening, and people are living in fear as well. And I think for those that were probably some time ago skeptics, because we went through that, I think a lot of people are started becoming a bit more aware that there is something else out there. So I think we could say it could go either way.
Absolutely. Yeah, and that's a really good point, actually, that there are lots of people who are coming to the realization suddenly and asking some really big questions that actually you need to turn to a faith or some kind of belief or some kind of exploration into your own spirituality. So there's lots of people out there searching and finding answers, and they're finding them, you say, on the internet. Absolutely right. And interested in turning up to courses that have never been there before. Certainly from what I've seen over the summer of spiritualist churches, the number of people, the reach that you can get on the internet for a spiritual church service is quite amazing. And people that would never walk into a spiritualist church, would never dream of it, would feel too intimidated. There's 101 reasons why people wouldn't do it. But actually in the online space, it feels very safe. And you can kind of have a bit of an experiment. You can dip in and dip out and find what fits for you. So there's so much opportunity out there internationally. International time zones. You can sit in on an evening, you can sit into a circle happening midday in America. So it's opened the whole world up for us, hasn't it?
It has, very much so. Yeah, it's great. I mean, we have a lady that comes to some of the groups that I run with Sunflower Spiritual Centre, and she's in Canada. And I met her 2 years ago on a course, and it's so great that we can get together for a healing service or a healing circle, or it's lovely just to see her online.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. So a question coming in from the Canaries. Hello, Jamie. How are you doing? I hope that you're staying well and looking after yourself, and having a bit of a break over there. Asking a really great question. What advice would you give to a medium who's preparing to make that step and preparing to work online and to make that transition? What kind of advice would you give to them as a teacher if you were guiding one of your students who was looking to make that transition?
Shall I go first?
Yeah.
I would say, personally, it's about believing in what you're doing, believing in what the spirit world are doing, and having that confidence with the spirit worlds, and making sure that you're doing it for the right intentions in behalf of the spirit world and to help other people. That's what because when I work as me, I found it that it's very compassionate for me, and when I work as a medium or when I work with my students, it's so important to work with the compassion, the empathy of the spirit. So that's what the advice I would give to Jamie.
Thank you.
And also, again, going back to the enjoyment, and just have a go. If it is slightly different, but just go with it. And I've never been online until March this year, and I've worked on platform for many years, and I love that. But I was so nervous doing my first online demonstration. So I went into a Zoom room that I knew the people, and they were friends, and it was just to dip my toe in the water. I also did private readings for my students to get myself acquainted, if you like, with this new way of working. So I would say maybe work with somebody, do it the two of you together if he knows anybody that he could work with, but just give it a go, because I think Zoom and online is here to stay. So we've all got to get used to it, I suppose.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Some great tips there for anyone who is kind of seeing the lay of the land and ready to make the leap. I think it's a good point, Karen. The world is changing, and it has opened up a whole new world, and the spirit world are aware of the technology. They're aware of how it works. And actually, it's not that they've got to catch up. It's that we've got to, as you beautifully said, Neil, trust, make the leap, because spirit are already there, ready for us to do it. We just got to trust ourselves to do it. Super, thank you. Some amazing questions coming in, and people coming in from all over the world, which is just utterly staggering, just to demonstrate our point that there are people from all over the world watching this one. So there is an amazing point here made by Phil. Phil always kind of thinks really deeply about this. So how important is it for platform presentation, which is something which is really important in a physical church service? Are there certain things that you look for people that do services and dems for you, and that you're teaching to your students in platform presentation? Yeah. I'll go for it now. Yeah.
Okay. All right. I was going to ask. Now, I always find it fascinating because I love watching other mediums work, because I actually learn from other mediums. Like, we're always learning. We never stop learning. And when I watch different mediums, maybe someone I don't know, someone that I do know, and then I see how they work, I see their delivery, and I think sometimes, I quite like that. I like how they put that forward, or how they've just delivered that. And there's other things where I think, didn't really like that, but I learned from that. And I think over the years of my work, that's what I've done. I've studied mediums and watched other mediums work. So that's the question, the answer for me, what Phil's just said. So
yeah, absolutely.
Can I just add to that? Now, I know that we're all passionate about the philosophy side. And when I watched a wonderful Remembrance Day service at the London Spiritualist Mission on Sunday just gone, and it was Minister Janet Parker, and she's such a wonderful speaker. And I was sitting here in this room, and I felt the love. I felt the presence of spirit as she was speaking. It wasn't a mediumship demonstration. It was a service of remembrance. But there was so much love, so much respect, and it was just wonderful to sit in that energy. And if you can bring that energy and that love and that faith and reverence into a Zoom room, you know, that for me says it all. Because all right, people could be sitting there watching, you know, just sitting in their lounges or laying on their beds or whatever. But if you feel touched by spirit, either with somebody giving you a message or when you're listening to a wonderful address, that for me shows that how this technology is working. Because I felt the love, I felt the energy, and I felt the energy of spirit in the room when I've listened to other mediums demonstrate as well. You know, even students demonstrating, they're bringing the love into the room, and the presence of spirit. And that's what some people say is missing. We don't have that in a physical, like we only have that in a physical service. Well, I disagree, because I've felt it.
I mean, even with going back to students here, I even think some of the students, you would think that they have been the working medium for a long time.
Yeah.
You know, with their delivery. You know, because some of my students have touched me completely, well factored. You know, so
it's so important, isn't it? And there's almost something which is far more intimate as well when you're on Zoom, because you can see the person's face far more closely than you would if you were in a church and they were kind of sat at the front, and there's that physical distance between the medium and speaker and the congregation. Whereas when you're in a Zoom room, you're more relaxed anyway, because you're in your own home environment. You're not kind of sat in an uncomfortable chair in a drafty church hall somewhere. So you feel more relaxed and more receptive. And because you've got that immediacy of someone being on your phone or your computer, for me, it feels like you're having a one-to-one conversation. It feels a lot more directed to you personally, and you can see the facial expressions of the speaker when they're speaking, which is really lovely. What are your kind of thoughts on Zoom room etiquette for people who are attending a service, who are people who are watching a service, watching a demonstration? And in fact, is there a difference between attending a service and attending a demonstration as a congregation, a virtual congregation?
I think regarding to Zoom, there is a big difference, really, because what we got to bear in mind is that we can see each other on the camera, okay? Where in the church, you wouldn't have people eating their meals, you wouldn't have people having a cup of coffee or having a cigarette or washing their hair, because these are the things that I've come across on Zoom, you know, and it's about just bearing in mind, you know, that, you know, a Zoom room is still a church. A lot of them, one of them is churches. So just to bear that in mind, that, you know, that people can see what's going on.
Well, it's a reverence. It's a place where we come to worship, to connect with God, especially in a divine service. And I think people are getting it more now, especially on this second lockdown. The first one, the first time round, everybody was a bit new to it and didn't know what to do. But I think, you know, when I come into any Zoom room, as much as I do want to, I always have water with me, because I just always need to have a drink of water, especially when I'm working. But, you know, I sit and I pay attention to what's going on, because I would expect that. I would want that people to do that for me when I was working. So I just give them that courtesy. And I think, you wouldn't sort of start fiddling about with your phone in church. There's certain things that you wouldn't do. So I think the same etiquette should be really, you know, instilled in Zoom rooms too, because the medium and the people that have got the service together have taken that time to do the service. So I think if you want to come, yes, I know sometimes the doorbell rings and things happen, and that's fine, but try to be at least not, you know, focused on the service and be part of it, because, you know, there's the interactive part of the service. I always say, when I'm standing on platform, if I'm sharing, this is the interactive part of the service. The spirit world don't want to come and talk to me. They want to come and talk to the congregation. So you have to listen to see, you know, if your loved ones are coming, because you may miss somebody important that wants to come and talk to you if you're, you know, fiddling about or not paying attention. So it's important, really, that you pay attention.
Absolutely. And this is a really big thing. And it's not just the physical mechanism of mediumship, mechanics of how our mediumship works when we transition from being in a church or a hall or a demonstration or a theatre, wherever you're demonstrating. to working in an online space, there's more than just adapting your own trust, your own faith, your own ability to work with technology, but there's also just the etiquette of it. And a different culture in an online space as well, a different acceptance of what is acceptable. Somebody, you know, Sylvia's asking people leaving after getting a message and just leaving the room, which of course you wouldn't do in a church. You wouldn't just go
no, you wouldn't do. That's one of my bear hates, when someone actually gets a reading and then they go, you know. But if that person didn't get a reading, they stay to the end of the service hoping they're going to get a reading, you know. So, and I'm like, just like, oh.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's something that happens all frequently, isn't it, Sylvia? And Jamie's kind of chiming as well with something else, which is the tendency of people just to keep asking for readings, because there is obviously kind of certain people working online where there's a tendency to kind of, you've got to keep commenting to get a reading, and people coming into the divine service environment, or maybe people who are trying to operate in a similar way to an online church, where that's just not the way that we work. It's not the way that the message comes through.
No. I think online readings are great if you go online and you want to do online readings, but sometimes I know when I've been online with my friend Val in Australia, she does a similar thing to this. She has a chat, sometimes she gets guest mediums on, and in the chat people say, oh, what do you feel anything for me today? And yes, it's wonderful to connect with the spirit world, but people have to remember that they have personal responsibility, and the spirit world will help us, but they can't live our lives for us or tell us what to do. They support, but they don't take charge. So we have to take responsibility for our own lives, and that people have to realize that.
Yeah, absolutely. This is just such an interesting discussion. I knew it would be because this is something that everyone's really interested in, both working mediums who are looking to kind of transition into the space and people who are going to a lot of places. You could be online from the moment you wake up to long after you should be in bed.
Absolutely.
Seminars and services, and there's something on all of the time. I'm not sure if Veronica's on, but lovely Veronica Jenkins, who kind of compiles every day all of the spiritual services.
Oh, she's amazing.
Yeah, she is. I mean, she works so hard. So we give her hands up for Veronica for what she does, you know, because she puts it all together and lets everyone know what's going on. So amazing.
Brilliant.
Thank you.
Brilliant.
So I've had a really interesting question. I'm just trying to find it again. It was a really interesting question. It was basically from, here we go. It was from Robert, who, do you think that spirit have been waiting for us to wake up to the benefits of the online world as an opportunity, another way for spirit to connect to us? What are your kind of thoughts as you've been going through this summer on this subject? Can I start with Karen? What are your thoughts on this?
It's interesting. That's an interesting question, because I've often thought, I mean, I started going to church in the 90s, and the internet and the computer world was getting bigger, especially in my own working life as well. And I sort of said, you know, when are we going to wake up? When are we going to when the spirit world are going to help us online? When is it going to work? And the message I got back was, be patient. And I think it's taken for this awful coronavirus to strike, to force churches, to force us to look for something else, because there's that need in us to stay connected with people, and the spirit world know that we need support at this time. So I think it's all amalgamated into this, where it's all happened together, it's all come together, and I think it's taken a big change within us and the world for it to happen. Yeah. I don't know what you think, Neil.
I agree, but it was at the beginning of the lockdown, when someone said to me that you was going to do Zoom, I said no, I wouldn't, and they went, "You will do." I went, "No way, that's not me." And look what I'm doing now, you know.
I know.
So basically, I think that what the question, Robert's question is brilliant, you know, because we are going this way, you know, and I think it's really important as well, because, you know, quite often, you know, in the churches, not everyone can get out to a church service, or the distance, especially someone that's vulnerable, an elderly person that's too dark at night for them to get home. There's no buses. the church may be miles away. So I think Zoom's been ideal for a lot of people, to be quite honest. You know, and like Karen was saying, that 82-year-old comes in and she's on Zoom. I mean,
Yeah.
isn't that amazing? You know.
Brilliant.
I've got a lovely lady called Pearl, and she's joined my awareness class, and she's 82 and she's on Zoom. And she said, I do everything on Zoom. She does art classes. She does all sorts of stuff. She's amazing. She doesn't look 82. She's fabulous. And the other week I was in Croydon Church, and there was this lady, and she was sitting in a conservatory watching it. And then all of a sudden something must have happened on the screen, and she's shouting, Barbara, Barbara, that's her daughter, can you come and stalk me? And she's there. And it's so lovely to see all these people on Zoom. And Pat, the lady, the vice president, said, it's so lovely to see you because you haven't been coming to church because you haven't been getting there. So it's bringing that light, that faith back into their lives in their own conservatories and living rooms. So it's great. It's great.
Absolutely.
And I think I've been more busy on Zoom before, you know. So when I was doing the churches, I was busy, but I think I've been more busy, extra busy in Zoom now. You know, because I remember last week, I think I had a service near enough every night.
Yeah, me too.
So
we did, didn't we?
Yeah.
We were either working together or doing separate things or doing stuff with students. So yeah, we were quite busy.
That's amazing. Thank you so much for that. Yeah, so many amazing tips there. And so many great questions. Thank you so much. Please do keep your questions coming. This has been a really, really interesting discussion. So there's been a really interesting question that was sent in to me, which is, how do you know when the energies aren't working for you in an online circle? What kind of things should you be looking for or feeling? Because when we're together in a room, your intuition is working and you're in that heightened sensitivity anyway, and you can very quickly pick up. What tips would you give for somebody who's in a Zoom room, they're with friends and they decided to form a circle, but it's finding a way to identify that there might be something that they're kind of not happy with and they want to move on to another circle, but they're friends. Have you got any tips? It's a great question. Have you got any advice as an experienced tutor of how they might be able to deal with that one?
Well,
let's take that one.
I don't know. Karen, do you want to answer that one first?
Well, yeah.
No, just remember I'm your friend, okay?
Yeah, I'm not going to say we sent it in.
I had it as a student, but not in a Zoom room. But I think sometimes the tutors know if things, I know when things are not sitting right with my group. And I would like to feel that they would be able to come and talk to me and tell me anything that's not right. But also every so often what I do is I do little spiritual assessments. I say, right, I need to talk to you, or let's have a chat. I do that quite randomly with my students. I always say to them, look, I'm here for you, text me, or if there's anything wrong, tell me. And I have to say most of them do. And sometimes it doesn't always resonate in the circle, but normally the tutor should know, that the circle leader should know what's going on within the circle, and just have that open door for their students to talk to them about it. And also I always say what's said in circle stays in circle. So we always have a lot of privacy there, because you're dealing with sensitive stuff, people's lives, loved ones, etc. So I always have an open door. So I would like to think people would come and talk to me if there was any problems, or I would actually talk to them if I felt there was any problems. So it's communication, really, I think, is the key.
Thank you. Great answer. What's your thoughts, Neil?
Mine's about being honest, really. It's about, if someone was having problems and I was the tutor, say, and they were having an issue with me, I would rather they tell me. And vice versa. I rather tell the student as well, not in front of everybody else, but I would talk to my student privately. So it is about being honest, because sometimes you can sort out situations as well if you're honest about them.
Yeah, brilliant answer. I think it's really key, isn't it? Because we're changing. It's a different way of engaging, and sometimes it can be the rules are different in Zoom, and sometimes things continue offline, and people think they're on Facebook, where it's about friendships and communications, and actually it's about working and about having that respect. And sometimes the lines can be a little bit blurred, can't they? Fantastic. Thank you so much for that response.
It's also just to say, sorry, but it's also it's about professionalism as well. So even though it's friends, you've got to remember, when we go to work and we make friends that work with people, we still have to be professional in our job.
Yeah.
So it's the same sort of thing in my eyes. It's about professionalism. Even working as a medium, if you're one in a group or you've got students, because I've grown to love my students as friends, but they're also students as well. So it's the boundaries there.
So good. Thank you so much. Amazing. I love that. I love that. I love that. Great answer. Thank you so much. There is a lovely little chat thread which is happening in our comments, which is amazing. Thank you everyone who's kind of contributing to people who are new here, and I've got so many questions, and there's some really experienced mediums and the spiritual workers here who are out and working, who are offering a bit of support, which is great. So Jamie's chiming in, just support what you said. It's about ground rules and boundaries and making it a safe environment. Absolutely, Jamie. Yeah, couldn't agree more with that one. And someone's asked a really lovely question about, is it important how you frame a message, and is there such thing as a bad message and a good message? And I know this goes, transcends working on Zoom, but you're nodding vigorously. What kind of things are you looking for from your students in a really good message? What kind of framework? Is there a framework? Neil, go for it.
Neil, you can start this one.
All right. So to me, I always believe a message is meant to be uplifting. It's meant to be no negativity, okay? Because it's about empowering that person. It's about how to make that person feel really uplifted, that they've got this lovely person that's coming through, their mum, their dad, whoever, bringing the essence of them and whatever the message is. But I do believe there is a way in how you deliver a message, because we've got to think about that person, the individual that's receiving that message, what it can do afterwards. That can enrich their lives. So to me, there is definitely ways in how you say something to someone, without doubt.
I think it's also important that we establish who's connecting. To establish a communicator, that is key for me. I always say that to my students, let's find out who they are and to tell their story, to blend with that person and to tell their story. And as Neil said, upliftment, positivity, and to bring that love, because the spirit world come with love and they want to give that love as well. So I think it's presentation is very important, and also what you say and how you say it can ruin a message or make a message. So it's important, and that's what we bring to our training. And I think it's important that people remember that, because sometimes there's a transition period from circle to platform. And I noticed when I used to run a fledglings night, an open platform night at West Wickham, people would come and they just say something and wait for somebody to respond. But you've got to work with that piece of information, and you've got to present it in a way, and you've got to have a little bit of public speaking training, and that's why it's important to present the message in a good way.
Yeah.
Fantastic answer. Thank you so much. And there's an awful lot of richness in the chat. So thank you everyone that's contributing and supporting people who are kind of finding their feet. You've maybe stumbled across this page for the first time on Facebook, and I've got a lot of questions. We will go back, and if there's any questions that we don't get to answer, I always go back and we'll kind of follow up and just make sure everyone's okay in that. So don't worry about that. I've got a question for both of you, kind of personally. How do you manage your energy, because you're working really hard at the moment? How do you manage your energy, and we're used to working in a physical environment that you kind of drive or get public transport, or you get picked up and you turn up at the church, and then there's a certain amount of sitting normally in a back room with a cup of tea and a biscuit.
Yeah.
And then you're kind of building your energy, and then you demonstrate, and then you come back and you sit, you have a cup of tea, and you drive yourself home, and you've got that kind of natural crescendo of your energy. How is it different getting yourself ready to demonstrate on Zoom? Do you have any rituals, anything you do, any preparation? And how do you manage the fact that when you finish working, you turn your computer off and it's just you? How does that work for you guys?
Well, I suppose I do have a little bit of a ritual, but then the ritual that I do now is the same as what I used to do. I like to have a little bit of peace and quiet when I'm getting ready, and I always sort of like have a bath, do my hair, and choose for a girl. You know, I choose what I'm going to wear and what jewelry I'm going to wear, and I always say, what color do I need? What jewelry do I need? Because I love to, you know, I love color. But for me, it's great because I just walk down the stairs, and I normally sit with some wonderful music, and I always sit in the power throughout the day, and I just like to be quiet. Sometimes it doesn't always happen, especially when you've got a little dog and a hubby at home. But when he's working, I do like to have a little bit of quiet and think about what I'm going to say. And when I finish my service, yes, I shut the computer down. The first thing I go and do is make myself a cup of tea, because I'm a bit of a teapot. But then I just watch what I call fluffy TV. So I sit down. I normally take my makeup off and everything, put my comfy clothes on, go and sit on the sofa with my cup of tea, and I watch Coronation Street and what I call fluffy TV, something that just you know, that I don't have to think about. My soaps, you know, my stuff that I've watched, like X Factor or I'm a Celebrity or things like that. Just fluffy TV, and I just wind myself down just by doing that. You know, and that's all I've ever done when I come home. I don't know what your ritual is, Neil. Have you got one?
I have, yeah. Mine's not really changed, really. It's always been the same. I resonate to a piece of music, and my students know what it is, and it is Medicine Woman, because I absolutely love that CD, and I've always done that, even, you know, for all these years as a medium, and then there may be another piece of music that I can resonate with. But then, like you, Karen, afterwards, you know, like when I'm traveling, because obviously I don't drive, so I get more time to, you know, have come down time on the train when I'm traveling back from a service, then listening to my Walkmans. That's my tuning out time. And then coming home and then having a drink, settling down, and then watching fluffy TV, as Karen calls it. EastEnders for me, Charlie Angels, Heart to Heart. And that is my moment for me as well. That's my coming down time from working with the energy. So, you know, but everyone's going to have different ways in how they do things.
That's right. Yeah. You can't beat a bit of fluffy TV after you've done a dim.
Definitely not.
That's so
Definitely
true.
not.
Thank you so much for that really good reminder, because it can be so easy that literally you're sat there and then all of a sudden the computer gets shut and you think, what am I going to do with all of this energy? And you've just got to keep to the same way that you would normally do it if you were driving back from a church, and all the things you would normally do, driving back from a demonstration, and not get sucked into the vortex of social media immediately afterwards, which is just, when you're very sensitive and you've just been working beautifully, it's probably not the best place to be, to get sucked straight back into that. So great reminder. Thank you so much. My goodness, there's been, Phil's really down with the Emmerdale and Corrie. Yeah, I'm not sure about EastEnders. That I wouldn't class that as fluffy TV. That's probably a bit too much for my sensitive heart to be watching that. So it's gone so fast. I can't believe how fast this hour has gone. And thank you everybody for your amazing questions. I knew this was going to be a really hotly anticipated session. So before we close down, I was going to go to both of you for kind of your final words, kind of any thoughts that are coming up, anything you want to leave people with. So can I come to you first, Karen? Kind of, what do you want to leave people with? What are your thoughts?
Just for those students out there that are, you know, worried about going on Zoom, or any medium that's worried about going on Zoom, just do it and just enjoy the mediumship. And just be the best that you can be, and don't worry about anybody else. Just enjoy it and be the best that you can be.
Beautiful. Thank you. Same to you, Neil.
I would say the same as well. I would certainly say the same, but I would also say enjoy your development and just go with whatever you're meant to be doing and let the spirit go with you as well. Because I always believe that things happen for a reason, you know, so.
Beautiful.
So it's the soul of your journey.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, you know, we are going through unprecedented times. I know we keep saying that it's unprecedented times. So just kind of keep checking in with yourself, keep making sure that you're doing things to keep yourself grounded, connected to the earth, keeping your energy good, practicing all of that good spiritual hygiene that you need to do, meditation, all of that great stuff that people are demonstrating and showing you in workshops. Keep doing that. And then have courage and go forward. And if you're given an opportunity by divine timing to take part in a Zoom circle, then go for it and get stuck in. Thank you so much for everyone that's joined us. And my goodness, thank you so much to the lovely Karen and the amazing Neil. I'm just putting their contact details into the chat so that you can get in touch with them if you've got any more questions, comments, want to get in touch with them about workshops or courses or DEMs that they're running in the future. As there's been said, there's something on pretty much every night. There's always something on, so you can catch them working in lots of places. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Karen. Thank you, Neil.
My pleasure, and thank you for inviting me.
Thank you for having us, Ashley, and thank you for everyone that's taking part in asking the questions as well.
Yes,
it's been amazing.
Lovely. Thank you all. Thank you all. It's been lovely.
Lovely. Stay well, stay safe, everybody. We'll see you next Friday at 6 o'clock, 6 or 7 o'clock UK time. Join us then. If you've just joined us, don't worry. You can go back right to the beginning and watch this all over again for all of the goodness that's included in this. We'll see you next week. Have a safe week. Look after yourselves. And yeah, keep shining that light, everybody. See you later. Cheerio.
Bye.
Bye, guys. Bye.